On the edge of the dense alien forest, Dr. Kieran Hale crouched low, brushing aside glowing ferns with his gloved hands. He had come to this remote planet searching for new forms of life, but nothing in his years of research had prepared him for what he was about to find. The air was thick with mist and the faint hum of unknown creatures, making him feel both excited and uneasy. Kieran's eyes caught a flicker of movement near a cluster of translucent plants. He leaned closer and saw a small creature, no bigger than a human hand, with skin that shimmered like liquid metal. Its tiny limbs moved with surprising speed, and its eyes, if they could be called eyes, seemed to look directly at him, observing, analyzing. He felt a shiver run down his spine, part fear, part wonder. This is incredible, Kieran whispered to himself. Carefully reaching out a scanning device, the creature reacted instantly, pulsing with a strange light, and then, in a blink, it leapt into a small hole in the ground, disappearing from sight. Kieran frowned. Noting the size of the hole, it was too small for him to follow. Yet he knew instinctively that this was no ordinary alien species. Over the next hour, Kieran watched from the shadows, noting every tiny movement. The hole seemed to shift slightly, almost like it was alive, and the creature occasionally poked its head out, flicking its strange appendages as if it was testing him. Each time he tried to get closer, the mist thickened and a low, vibrating hum filled the air, making it impossible to concentrate. By nightfall, Kieran made a decision. He could not leave without studying the creature. He carefully prepared a containment device, small but strong enough to hold it temporarily, and as the moon rose over the alien forest, he reached into the hole with steady hands. The creature twitched, making tiny clicking sounds, and then with a sudden burst it leaped onto his palm, surprisingly calm. Kieran held his breath as he activated the containment device, a transparent cylinder that began to glow faintly as it recognized the creature's energy signature. The moment it was enclosed, the creature pulsed with a strange light, expanding slightly and then shrinking again. Its body seemed almost liquid, shifting and flowing, yet it remained perfectly contained. Kieran felt a mix of awe and fear, wondering how fast it could grow, and whether he could control it. He decided to bring it back to his lab in the research station, a small base hidden deep in the forest. As he walked, the creature made soft sounds, almost like it was communicating. Kieran realized it was more intelligent than he had first thought. Perhaps it understood him, perhaps it was curious. Either way, he felt a strange bond forming, a connection he could not explain. Back at the lab, Kieran placed the containment device on a reinforced table and ran preliminary scans. The creature's growth rate was unlike anything he had ever recorded. It had doubled in size within minutes, and the energy readings were off the charts. Alarm bells rang in his mind, but his curiosity overpowered his caution. He knew he should alert the authorities, but he feared they would take it away before he could study it properly. Hours passed and Kieran monitored the creature closely. He noticed subtle changes. It responded to his voice, to light, and even to his emotions. When he spoke softly, it pulsed gently, almost like a heartbeat, but when he became tense, it thrashed against the containment wall, sending sparks of energy into the air. He realized that controlling it would not be easy, and hiding it would soon be impossible. Suddenly, without warning, the creature expanded rapidly. Pushing against the containment device, cracks appeared along the transparent walls, and a soft, eerie hum filled the lab. Kieran stepped back, heart pounding. His hands shook as he tried to stabilize the device, but the growth was relentless. Each second brought more pressure, and he realized with a sinking feeling that he could not keep it contained for long. A shadow passed outside the lab window, and Kieran froze. Could someone have seen him? The thought made his stomach churn. If the alien authorities discovered this creature, they would destroy it without hesitation. He had to find a way to control its growth, or at least understand it before it was too late. The tension in the lab was thick, and the humming from the creature seemed to echo his own fear. Kieran sank into a chair, watching the pulsing life form. He whispered, almost pleadingly, "Please, make it stop growing. I can't hide it anymore." The words hung in the air, unanswered, yet somehow it felt like the creature understood. The lab lights flickered, and Kieran realized that the adventure he had sought for years had become a dangerous, living reality, one that could change everything he knew about life and humanity on this alien world. The night stretched on, the strange hum of the creature filling the room. Kieran knew this was only the beginning, a secret too big to hide, a life too powerful to control, and a bond that could either save or destroy them both. The forest outside was silent now, But he could feel the eyes of something watching, waiting, and he realized that the next steps would decide the fate of more than just this one strange creature. The morning light spilled into the lab. Casting pale beams over the humming containment device, Dr. Kieran Hale rubbed his tired eyes, barely able to sleep after the night of unrelenting anxiety. The creature inside had not stopped growing, and its pulsing light now filled the room with a strange, shifting glow. Kieran approached cautiously, his fingers trembling as he reached for the scanner. The readings were shocking, far beyond any life form he had ever studied. The creature's mass had increased by nearly 50% overnight, and its energy signature was fluctuating unpredictably, sending sparks across the lab's metal surfaces. Kieran stepped back, heart racing. This was no longer just a discovery, it was a danger, and hiding it from the authorities seemed impossible now. He tried to speak softly to the creature, hoping to calm it. "Easy, it's okay. I'm not going to hurt you." The alien organism pulsed in response, a gentle wave of light that made the shadows in the lab dance strangely. Kieran felt a moment of relief, but it was fleeting. As soon as he turned to check the readings, the device trembled violently, sending papers and tools flying. The creature had grown again, its limbs pressing against the walls, trying to expand beyond its temporary prison. Kieran realized he had underestimated its strength. He frantically adjusted the energy shields, but every action seemed to accelerate its growth. The lab monitors beeped and flashed warnings, a chaotic symphony of alerts that mirrored his rising panic. Outside the lab, the forest was alive with strange sounds, as if the trees themselves were reacting to the organism's expansion. Kieran paused for a moment, listening, realizing that this was not just a creature. It was a force, something ancient and wild, responding to his every movement and emotion. He felt both fear and awe, knowing that understanding it could change everything humanity thought about life in the universe. As the hours passed, Kieran attempted containment strategies, each more desperate than the last. He tried lowering the ambient temperature, adjusting the energy flow, even playing soft harmonic tones to see if the creature would respond. Sometimes it did, pulsing gently, but then, with sudden bursts, it would expand violently, forcing him to scramble for control. The lab's walls rattled with each movement, threatening to break. Kieran's mind raced, thinking of the authorities, of what might happen if they discovered this. He could imagine the reports, the alarms, the immediate orders to destroy it. The thought made his stomach twist. He could not let that happen. Not when he was the only one who seemed to understand it. Somehow the creature trusted him, or at least recognized him, and he knew he had to protect it, no matter the risk. By evening, the situation became critical. The creature's growth was now too fast for even the reinforced containment device. Cracks had formed along the transparent walls, small at first, then widening. Kieran watched in horror as the organism pressed against the edges. Glowing brighter with every pulse, it made soft, clicking noises, almost as if it were warning him or asking for help. Frustration and desperation built within Kieran. His hand shook as he tried to stabilize the device, sweat dripping down his forehead. He muttered to himself, "I can't hide this anymore. I can't control it. Please just stay calm." The creature responded to his words in a subtle way, a slow, rhythmic pulsing that seemed to match the beat of his heart. A strange connection was forming, stronger than anything he had felt with any other life form. The night deepened and Kieran realized he needed a plan. Something drastic, something bold, or the organism would break free entirely. He contacted his small team of trusted researchers, explaining the situation in hushed, urgent tones. "It's growing too fast. It's not just a discovery. It's alive in ways we can't predict. We need to find a way to stabilize it before it's too late." His voice trembled, but there was determination behind it. The team arrived with emergency equipment, energy shields, and experimental containment devices. The creature sensed the new presence and pulsed erratically, sending a wave of energy that made several monitors flicker and go dark. Kieran felt the surge in his chest. Almost like an electric shock, he reached out, placing a hand near the glowing organism, and whispered, "Trust me, I won't let them hurt you." For a brief moment, the creature's growth slowed, as if it understood him. The lab was quiet except for the soft hum of the containment device. Kieran breathed deeply, knowing this calm would not last. He had only bought himself a few precious hours, but those hours could be the difference between discovery and disaster. Between life and destruction, he looked at the pulsing, expanding form and whispered again, "Please, Make it stop growing, I can't hide it anymore. The words echoed through the lab. Carried by the hum of the alien life form, Kieran knew that the real challenge had only just begun. The creature was alive, powerful, and unpredictable, and his next steps would define not just its fate, but the future of humanity's first contact with a being unlike any other. By the following morning, the lab was tense with an energy Kieran had never felt before. The creature's growth had slowed slightly, but it was still unpredictable, and the cracks in the containment device had widened, letting tiny sparks of glowing energy escape into the air. Kieran paced nervously, glancing at the readouts, every number flashing higher than the last. He knew he could no longer keep this secret. Even his closest colleagues had begun to notice strange anomalies, unexplained energy surges and equipment malfunctions that no one could ignore. Kieran had hidden the truth so far, but it was only a matter of time before someone discovered the creature. The thought made his stomach tighten. Just then, Dr. Lenara, a fellow researcher, stepped into the lab, her eyes widening at the glowing form. "Kieran, what is that?" she asked, her voice trembling with awe and fear. Kieran swallowed hard, realizing there was no turning back. He gestured to the containment device. It's alive, it's growing, and we don't fully understand it yet." Lenara stepped closer, studying the pulsing form. "It's intelligent, isn't it?" she whispered, as the creature flickered in response to her voice. Kieran nodded, feeling a mix of relief and anxiety. "Yes, it responds to sound, to emotion, maybe even to thought. I think it understands us, or at least it senses us." The alien energy in the room made the hairs on his arm stand on end. Suddenly, an alarm sounded from the lab's security system. Kieran froze, heart pounding. He had not triggered any alerts. The readings on the screen jumped erratically, and the creature pulsed violently, pressing against the containment walls, almost as if warning him. Then through the window, a patrol drone appeared, scanning the area, its sensors picking up the unusual energy signature. Kieran felt a surge of panic. The authorities would arrive any minute, and if they discovered this creature, it would be destroyed without hesitation. "Lenara, we have to hide it now," he urged, but Lenara shook her head, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and fascination. "We can't, Kieran, it's too big, they'll see. It's impossible to hide." The creature pulsed again, this time reacting to their fear, its body glowing brighter, and the hum in the lab grew louder, almost deafening. Kieran realized that the organism was aware of their emotions, perhaps even understanding the urgency of the situation. He placed a hand near it, whispering softly, "Calm. It's okay, don't be afraid." The creature's pulsing slowed slightly, but the danger was far from over. Outside, the alien authorities arrived, their tall forms stepping silently through the mist. Scanning every corner of the lab, Kieran's heart sank. He had hoped to contain the situation alone, but now the secret was out. The hum of the creature seemed to react to their presence, growing louder, vibrating through the reinforced walls, and Kieran realized they were not just investigating energy anomalies. They were searching for the source. In the chaos, a small figure appeared among the alien authorities, a child with large luminescent eyes who stepped closer to the lab window, gazing at the creature with curiosity instead of fear. The creature responded immediately, its glow softening, its pulsing synchronizing with the child's slow, rhythmic breathing. Kieran watched in amazement, realizing that this child had a calming effect, something no one else could achieve. The authorities paused, sensing the unusual interaction, but they could not see the full extent of the creature yet. Kieran knew he had a brief window of time. He whispered to Lenara, "We have to move it now." While it's distracted, together they carefully lifted the containment device, trying not to disturb the pulsing organism. The child's presence seemed to guide them, almost as if the creature and child shared a silent understanding. As they navigated through the lab's corridors, the alarms continued to blare, but the organism remained strangely calm near the child. Kieran's mind raced, thinking about the implications. This creature was not just a life form, it was sentient, intelligent, and capable of understanding emotion. Perhaps it could even communicate in ways they had not yet discovered. The realization filled him with both awe and responsibility. The moment was fleeting, however, as the authorities entered the lab fully, their eyes scanning the area. Kieran's pulse quickened. They could see the glowing energy flickering beneath the containment device, but they had not yet identified the creature. Kieran knew that exposure was inevitable. He whispered one last time to the organism, "Stay calm. Trust me. and the pulsing slowed almost obediently. In that instant, Kieran understood the gravity of what he was dealing with. The secret was out, and hiding the creature was no longer an option. But with the child's unexpected connection and his own empathy, there was a chance not just for survival but for understanding, for cooperation between human and alien, between life forms that had never interacted before. The future of this discovery hung on a delicate thread, fragile yet full of possibility. Kieran took a deep breath, ready to face the authorities, ready to explain, to protect, and perhaps to change the course of everything. The creature pulsed softly in his hands, as if sensing his determination, and for the first time, he felt a surge of hope that maybe together they could survive, they could learn, and humanity could prove that compassion and courage mattered, even in a world full of unknowns. The lab was filled with tension, an energy that pressed against Kieran like a heavy weight. The creature's pulsing glow reflected on the walls, flickering and shifting as though it sensed the arrival of the authorities more clearly than anyone. Kieran's heartbeat thundered in his chest, and every instinct told him that the situation was about to spiral out of control. The alien authorities moved with precision, their tall armored forms scanning the lab, every movement calculated and cold. Kieran felt the heat of fear, not just for himself, but for the creature he had sworn to protect. He knew that if they discovered its full size and power, destruction would be immediate. The thought made his stomach twist, yet determination kept him rooted. The creature began thrashing violently, pressing against the containment device with surging energy. Sparks flew from the walls, and the hum of power filled the room, deafening and intense. Kieran realized that the organism was no longer just reactive. It was resisting, responding to the tension and fear in the room. Its growth seemed to accelerate under stress, and he understood that the authorities' presence alone was pushing it toward uncontrollable expansion. "Step back," Kieran shouted to Lenara, who froze for a moment, eyes wide at the glowing, shifting life form. The authorities paused, watching with curiosity, but their scanners had begun to pick up the unusual energy signature. "It's not dangerous if you let it calm," Kieran warned, voice steady despite the panic clawing at his chest. "But any aggression will make it worse." The creature pulsed in response to his tone, a wave of light that seemed almost like a heartbeat. But the energy readings spiked again, stronger and faster than before. Kieran knew that containment alone was failing. The walls of the device bent under the pressure, and small cracks raced across the surface, threatening to shatter at any moment. The room filled with an eerie blue glow as the organism expanded, pulsing with life, power, and intelligence. A sudden noise outside the lab door made Kieran jump. The alien child from before appeared again, this time standing boldly between the authorities and the lab, her eyes glowing faintly, almost matching the organism's energy. She raised a small hand, and the creature responded instantly, pulsing slower as if recognizing a friend. Kieran felt a small wave of hope, the first he had felt since the crisis began. But hope was fleeting. The authorities were not deterred, and their scanners had already begun transmitting readings to their command. Reinforcements would arrive within minutes, and there would be no negotiation. Kieran realized that he had only a small window to act. He whispered to Lenara, "We have to move it before they arrive." "Before it's too late," the creature thrashed slightly, testing the energy shields, but calmed when Kieran spoke softly. "Trust me, you're safe with me." The connection between human and alien life form was fragile, yet it held, giving Kieran a brief moment to act. He carefully lifted the containment device, adjusting the energy field to support the growing organism, but even this was not enough to slow the expansion completely. Outside, the mist of the forest swirled as the first reinforcements arrived, but the child stood firm, blocking their path, and the organism pulsed brightly in recognition, sending a wave of energy that seemed to push the authorities back. Kieran realized that the bond between human, child, and organism was stronger than any weapon, a living shield of trust and empathy. As they moved deeper into the lab's secret corridors, Kieran could feel the weight of responsibility pressing on him. Heavier than ever before, he had brought this life into his world, and now he had to protect it, guide it, and perhaps understand it. The situation had escalated beyond anything he had imagined, but for the first time he also felt a flicker of hope that humanity could rise to meet this challenge, not with fear but with courage, compassion, and understanding. The organism pulsed gently in response. Almost as if agreeing with him, Kieran knew that the real test was just beginning. The authorities were closing in, The organism's growth was unpredictable, and the stakes had never been higher. Yet in the midst of chaos there was a connection, a bond that might just make the impossible possible. And for Kieran, that bond was the only chance they had to survive. Kieran's mind raced as he watched the organism pulse in the containment device. Glowing brighter than ever, its energy seemed alive, almost like it could sense his every thought. He knew that moving it was only a temporary solution. The authorities would not stop searching, and the organism's growth was accelerating. A new plan was the only way to survive. He turned to Lenara, whispering urgently, "We need a safe place. Somewhere it can grow without threatening anyone. Somewhere they cannot reach." Lenara nodded, her eyes reflecting worry and determination. "There's an old research bunker in the forest, abandoned for years. Its energy shields are still functional. It might hold it for a while." Kieran felt a flicker of hope, but he knew reaching it would not be easy. The alien child stepped closer, eyes glowing faintly, and extended a small hand toward the containment device. The organism responded immediately, pulsing softer, almost obediently. Kieran realized that the child's presence could be the key to moving it safely. "She calms it," he whispered to Lenara. "We have to use her." Together they devised a plan. Simple in words but dangerous in execution. Kieran would carry the containment device. Lenara would handle the energy stabilization equipment, and the child would guide the organism, keeping it calm during the journey. Every step had to be measured, every sound controlled, and every emotion carefully hidden. One wrong move could trigger uncontrollable growth. And failure was not an option. The moment came to leave the lab, alarms still ringing faintly from the authority sensors. Kieran lifted the containment device carefully, feeling the warmth and strange energy flowing through his arms. The organism pulsed in response, as if aware of the mission. The child walked ahead, small and fearless, and the organism's light seemed to follow her rhythm, creating a path of calm through the chaos. Outside, the mist of the alien forest was thick. Twisting around the tall, luminous trees, Kieran felt the vibration of the organism through the device, and every step was tense. He had to navigate through unstable terrain, avoiding natural hazards and the possibility of being spotted by patrol drones. Every second was critical, and the organism's energy flared occasionally, warning him that the path was not without risk. At one point, the containment device trembled violently, and sparks shot across its surface. Kieran froze, holding it tightly, whispering softly, "It's okay. Trust me, I won't let you fall." The organism responded with a gentle pulse, almost like a heartbeat, calming slightly. Lenara adjusted the energy stabilizers, her hands shaking but steady, every movement precise. Each pulse of light seemed to synchronize with their breathing, a rhythm of trust and cooperation. As they progressed deeper into the forest, strange sounds echoed around them, alien creatures stirring in response to the organism's energy. Kieran realized that the world itself was reacting. The forest seemed alive, watching, testing them. Each obstacle forced them to move carefully, avoiding detection and keeping the organism calm. The child's presence remained central, her steady energy guiding the organism and giving Kieran hope. Hours passed and fatigue weighed on them. Kieran's muscles ached, and Lenara's hands trembled from holding the equipment. Yet the organism remained calm near the child. Almost obedient, he realized that empathy and understanding, not technology, were the true tools to manage this life form. They were no longer just scientists, they were caretakers, responsible for a being far beyond their comprehension. Finally, the old research bunker came into view, its abandoned energy shields flickering faintly. Kieran's heart raced with relief and caution. They had reached the temporary refuge, but the task was not over. The organism had to be transferred safely, stabilized within the bunker's shields, and monitored constantly. Every moment mattered. And Kieran knew that this was only the beginning of a delicate operation. He carefully placed the containment device on the floor of the bunker. Activating the shields, the organism pulsed in response, the light filling the room with a soft glow. Almost like a sigh of relief, Kieran knelt beside it, whispering, "You're safe for now." The child stepped closer, and the organism pulsed gently, synchronizing with her energy. A fragile bond had formed, bridging human, alien, and unknown life. Kieran turned to Lenara, voice filled with determination. "We've bought ourselves time, but this is not over. We need to study it, understand it, or it could escape, or worse, be destroyed." Lenara nodded, eyes filled with resolve. "We'll do whatever it takes, Kieran, for its sake." And for hours, the room hummed softly, the organism's light casting shadows that danced like living whispers on the walls. A reminder that life was unpredictable, yet full of possibility. As night fell outside, Kieran watched the pulsing organism and realized that containment alone would not be enough. Understanding, trust, and cooperation were the keys. Between human, alien, and unknown life, he felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Heavier than ever, yet it was accompanied by hope. The hope that humanity could rise to the challenge, protect life, and prove that courage and compassion mattered, even on a distant world. The night was silent outside the bunker, the alien forest glowing faintly under the light of distant moons. Inside, Kieran Hale sat on the cold floor, his back against the reinforced wall, eyes fixed on the pulsing organism in the containment device. Its energy shimmered in waves, unpredictable, alive, and yet strangely aware. Kieran could feel its awareness like a heartbeat through his palms. For hours he had monitored the organism, studying its rhythms, trying to understand the triggers of its growth. He knew that the calm they had achieved while moving it to the bunker was temporary, and any sudden stress could provoke it into rapid expansion. The thought made his chest tighten, the weight of responsibility pressing harder than ever. Suddenly the containment device trembled violently, sending a faint hum echoing through the room. Kieran leapt forward, stabilizers in hand, but it was too late. The organism pulsed with energy that radiated like a storm, its limbs pressing against the walls, and a low resonant vibration filled the air. The glow was brighter than it had ever been, almost blinding. And Kieran knew that this was the turning point. He shouted for Lenara, who was adjusting the energy stabilizers. "It's happening. We have to calm it now." Her hands moved quickly, aligning the shields. But the energy reading spiked dangerously, sending tremors through the bunker. The organism pulsed faster with every movement. Almost as if it could sense their panic, its light flickered, casting shadows that danced violently across the walls. Kieran realized the truth in an instant. The organism was not just growing, it was reacting to their emotions, responding to fear, urgency, and determination. He knew that technology alone could not contain it. Only understanding, empathy, and trust could guide it through this moment. He leaned close to the containment device, whispering softly, "It's okay. We are here with you. You are safe." The alien child stepped forward, eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. Her calm presence seemed to resonate with the organism, which pulsed gently in response. The momentary connection slowed the violent tremors. Creating a fragile rhythm, Kieran felt a surge of hope, knowing that the bond between human, child, and organism was their only chance. But relief was short-lived. A sudden alarm from outside the bunker shook the walls, signaling the arrival of reinforcements from the alien authorities. Their sensors had detected the unusual energy, and they were moving in fast. Kieran's heart pounded. He had to act quickly, or the organism, and they themselves, would face imminent danger. He turned to Lenara, voice firm. "We have one chance to stabilize it and prove it's not a threat. We have to communicate in our way, show it we are allies, not enemies." She nodded, understanding the stakes. Both of them knelt beside the containment device, hands near the energy field, focusing on calm, steady breathing, projecting safety and trust toward the organism. The organism pulsed in response, light softening and spreading evenly, almost like a heartbeat. Kieran whispered again, "We will protect you, together." The alien child raised a hand toward the organism, and for the first time the energy stabilized, radiating gently instead of violently. The turning point had arrived, not through force, but through empathy and connection. Yet the challenge was far from over. The reinforcements outside were approaching, and the containment device could hold only so long. Kieran realized that they needed proof, evidence that the organism was intelligent and not a threat. They had to show the authorities before panic destroyed everything. He took a deep breath, summoning courage, knowing the next steps were critical. Suddenly, the organism emitted a soft, melodic pulse, almost like a language, a series of vibrations that resonated in the room. Kieran and Lenara listened, hearts racing, realizing that the creature was trying to communicate. Its energy pulses formed patterns, responding to the calm and trust they projected. The child smiled faintly, eyes reflecting understanding, recognizing the rhythm, almost as if she could translate it instinctively. Kieran understood in that moment that the turning point was not just about survival. It was about recognition, about understanding life that was unlike anything they had known. The organism's intelligence was undeniable, its ability to respond to empathy and emotion proving that it was not a mindless threat, but a life form capable of cooperation, connection, and perhaps even friendship. The reinforcements arrived at the bunker doors, but Kieran felt a strange calm. The organism pulsed gently, synchronized with the child's energy, and he knew they had a chance, a fragile moment, yes, but one that could determine the future of humanity's first contact with a truly alien intelligence. Kieran whispered almost to himself, "We will survive, together." And the organism pulsed back in rhythm, a silent promise. The night outside remained quiet. But inside, a bond had formed, stronger than fear, stronger than technology. It was the moment where understanding overcame panic, empathy overpowered danger, and humanity, through courage, connection, and compassion, proved that it could rise to meet the extraordinary. The turning point had arrived, and with it, a new chapter in the relationship between human and alien life began. The first light of dawn seeped through the thick alien forest, casting soft, shimmering patterns across the bunker walls. Kieran Hale stood beside the containment device, exhausted but alert. The organism pulsed gently, its energy calm, a soft glow filling the room as if it too had sensed that the crisis had passed. For the first time in days, Kieran allowed himself to breathe, knowing they had survived the worst. Outside, the alien authorities stood at a distance, scanning cautiously, yet none dared enter. The alien child remained at the forefront, her small, glowing figure a bridge between humanity and the unknown. The creature's response to her presence was subtle, almost reverent, its pulses steady and harmonious. Kieran realized that this bond had created a kind of understanding no technology could achieve. Linara adjusted the energy stabilizers one last time, checking the containment device. "It's stable for now," she said softly. Eyes tired but hopeful, Kieran nodded. Feeling a surge of relief, they had managed the impossible, containing a life form that had defied all understanding. But more than that, they had proven that empathy and trust could succeed where fear and force would fail. The organism's pulsing changed, slower and more deliberate, almost like it was communicating. Kieran and Linara listened carefully, sensing patterns in its energy waves, a rhythm that hinted at intelligence, recognition, and perhaps even gratitude. It was unlike anything they had studied before, a living proof that humanity's compassion could resonate with life far beyond their world. Kieran stepped closer, speaking softly. "We won't hurt you, and we will help you grow safely." "You're not alone," the organism pulsed back, a warm glow radiating across the room as if acknowledging his words. The alien child smiled faintly, her eyes bright, understanding the silent conversation. The bond among the three, human, child, and alien life, felt unbreakable in that moment, a testament to connection across worlds. Over the next few hours, Kieran and Linara carefully documented the organism's behavior, noting every pulse, every growth pattern, and its response to emotion and calm presence. They realized that the organism was more than just a new species. It was a sentient being capable of learning, understanding, and forming bonds. Kieran felt pride mixed with awe, knowing humanity had not only discovered life, but had also proven it could coexist respectfully and thoughtfully. News of the incident reached the alien authorities, and to Kieran's surprise, they approached with measured caution rather than aggression. The child spoke to them quietly, explaining the situation, and gesturing toward the calm organism. Its pulsing seemed to respond, a gentle, steady glow that conveyed safety and intelligence. The authorities paused, observing, and after a tense moment nodded in understanding. Kieran realized that respect had earned what force could not. The alien authorities offered cautious cooperation, and a temporary alliance formed, allowing Kieran and Linara to continue studying the organism. The emphasis was on protection, understanding, and safe growth rather than control. Kieran felt a profound sense of relief, knowing that the creature's life was secure, and that humanity had shown its ability to rise above fear, embracing responsibility and compassion instead. Weeks passed and the organism's growth stabilized, aided by careful monitoring, the presence of the child, and the safe environment of the bunker. Kieran watched it with quiet satisfaction, every pulse a reminder that life, no matter how alien, could be nurtured and respected. He realized that the greatest discoveries were not just scientific, but morale, lessons in empathy, courage, and understanding. The alien child became a constant companion, guiding Kieran and Lenara in interacting with the organism, teaching them subtle ways to communicate through energy, rhythm, and calm presence. The trio formed an unspoken team, a bond that transcended species and origin, demonstrating that connection, trust, and care could overcome fear, misunderstanding, and danger. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the forest, the organism pulsed softly, casting a serene glow over the bunker. Kieran stood beside it. Reflecting on the journey, he whispered almost to himself, "We did it." Together, the alien child placed a hand on the device, and the pulses synchronized, warm and steady, a living symbol of harmony and trust, a testament to humanity's potential to protect, understand, and cherish life wherever it is found. Kieran looked out at the forest, realizing that their adventure had changed everything. Humanity had shown that it could rise to meet extraordinary challenges, not with aggression or fear, but with courage, empathy, and unwavering compassion. The organism had survived, grown, and connected with human and alien alike, a living proof that understanding and trust could bridge worlds. As the night deepened, Kieran smiled. Feeling hope swell in his chest, they had faced the unknown, embraced life in its purest, most alien form, and emerged with a bond stronger than fear, stronger than danger, stronger than anything technology alone could achieve. Humanity had not only discovered a new life, it had proven that it could protect, nurture, and honor it, leaving a mark of compassion in the vast universe. And in that quiet, glowing room, with the organism pulsing gently and the alien child watching, Kieran knew that the story of courage, empathy, and understanding had only just begun. The HFY moment was complete, a shining example of what humans could do when they chose care over fear, action over hesitation, and connection over indifference. The future was uncertain, but for now, life, trust, and hope pulsed brightly together.